Big news from KTM today because they've just issued a press release that confirms that they're going to be launching for the 2025 model year, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, not 11, not 12, but if my count is correct, 13 new bikes, and they'll all be on show at EICMA in Milan. Now, it's been in the press recently that they didn't necessarily have the best year, so hopefully 2025 is going to be a good one with so many fresh models available in KTM dealers. We're talking a whole bunch of new 1390s, there's a new 990 as well, but also a couple of really interesting sounding 390s and 125s, which I've got to admit came as a little bit of a surprise. So in this video, we'll go through all of the details that they've released and all of the dates with everything that you need to know so far. Now we'll go in date order of all of these announcements, and the first one is going to be in a week or so with their new automatic system. Well, I say automatic, but it's actually called automated manual transmission, and that's because it's basically the same engine architecture as one of their manual bikes, but you've just got an electronic actuator on the clutch and gearbox that means you can kind of run it in an automatic mode. So yeah, no clutch to operate, you can do away with the shifter as well, although I do believe there'll be a manual mode where you can either use buttons on the switchgear or maybe a dummy foot shifter to select the gears yourself, but ultimately those are just electronic buttons and there's no mechanical connection to the gearbox because those two actuators are doing all the work for you. Basically, this is going to go head to head with Honda's existing DCT system, so you've got to think that an automatic Super Adventure is going to be a great competitor for the DCT Africa Twin, but also you've got BMW and Yamaha also offering AMT bikes in 2025, so I'm really interested to see what KTM can do here and whether they can come up with any one killer feature to help them to stand out from this crowd. Next up, a couple of days later, they're also going to be unveiling their latest generation of their TFT display, and look, I'm already a massive fan of how KTM lay out their TFT dashes with really usable menus, easy to navigate, and also some handy graphics that really help to explain what the different settings and rider aids do. Thing is though, they're saying this new bigger screen will take things up a level in terms of ease of use with a complete redesign to the UX. So in their words, they say that this new dash contains new electronics, connectivity features thanks to a new connectivity unit, and customization possibilities around a revised cube handlebar layout with upgraded simplicity. After that, we got the first couple of actual full bikes, and this time it will be in the form of the new 2025 SXE3 and SXE5. Both of those are mini electric bikes for younger riders. And there's also an update to their 85SX, which I believe is an 85cc motocross bike for youth riders as well. A couple of days after that, we've got the Freeride E. Details are a little bit thin on this one, so not sure if they'll do a supermoto version as well as the XC off-roader. But one would hope there'll be some significant improvements to like range and charging times versus the previous iterations of this model. To me, electric bikes still make the most sense off-road, where speeds are generally lower, so you're not sapping the battery as quickly, and also probably distances are generally lower. And so yeah, with KTM's expertise off-road, I'm really interested to see what they can do with this next gen. Perhaps we're on to the more exciting stuff though now, because on the 22nd of October, and I believe this is a brand new model, they've confirmed that they're going to be announcing a 1390 Super Adventure S Evo. Now, we had a whole bunch of 1390 Super Adventure spy shots recently showing all different sorts of flavors, but I believe this one is going to be a super quick tall sports tourer that goes head to head with some of the bikes on the market like the BMW M1000 XR or maybe even the Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. KTM are brilliant at making bikes of this nature with some real attitude and sportiness and with all the techie specs and a really punchy engine. So I'd expect this one to be an absolute beast as well and be able to go toe-to-toe with those other premium tall bikes. And one of the bikes spotted out testing even featured some aero winglets. And so when this one's fully announced, I think that's a sort of frivolous feature that you can expect from a top-tier Evo model like this. 2 days later, they've also got an announcement on the base Super Adventure S. Again, we've seen this one in the spy shots and it looks quite interesting. There's definitely a bit of a difference to the visual design with that new headlight layout that came out with the 1390 Super Duke. And presumably, you know, with it being a 1390, it's going to get that updated, bigger engine as well. But look, I've got to say, the rest of the Super Adventure S, when I tested it a few years back, was already really very good. It's got excellent semi-active suspension, a front-facing radar with active cruise control, and across the whole bike, it's really well appointed, it feels fairly light, great handling, great engine, and so it's got me kind of wondering how they can really improve upon it. Certainly, that new TFT display is going to be part of it, along with, I would reckon, the AMT gearbox, which will, to be fair, really suit an adventure tourer of this nature. Now, no dates for this one, but they've also stuck it in the press release. They say there's going to be a 1390 Super Adventure R. Maybe they're going to announce it on the same day as the S, but of course this is going to be the more off-road biased models, so expect more suspension travel, spoke wheels, that sort of thing, more protection, a more off-roady image. And again, I think this is one we've seen in the spy shots, and it's got a very different front end to it, so it's got more of a rally inspiration with like stacked headlights and a very straight front end. To me, I think it looks really good and differentiates it from the more road biased models, so I'm really interested to see what this one looks like with all the paint on and that sort of stuff. Right at the end of October, we've also got confirmation that there will now be a 990 Duke R, and this is probably going to be an absolutely phenomenal bike. The 890 Duke R was one of the best bikes I've ever ridden on the road in terms of like absolute thrills. And yeah, I've already ridden the 990 Duke earlier this year. We put a review up and I thoroughly enjoyed that bike. But you can see there are a few little opportunities to just take the spec up a bit and make it worthy of the R name. So yeah, expect top spec Brembo style Lemma brakes. Perhaps they'll make the riding position a bit more aggressive, perhaps the geometry as well. Maybe some tweaks to the engine, certainly some different track specific riding modes and rider aids. Some super sticky tyres are almost guaranteed, and maybe a bit more of a boisterous image and finish to the paintwork. 5th of November takes us right up to the first press day at EICMA in Milan. We'll be there covering all the bikes firsthand, so if you're not already subscribed and you want to see that right from the show direct, then I'd definitely recommend hitting subscribe, and this is certainly going to be one of the bikes that we're going to get around to. You see, it's a 1390 update to the Super Duke GT, and having ridden the 1290, well, it's just a ridiculously quick bike, much like the Super Duke R, but just with that slightly more comfortable riding position, better load carrying capabilities, and also a bit more wind protection. And so yeah, really good bike for eating up the miles as quickly as possible. The only thing I didn't really love about it is I did think the wind flow or airflow over that little screen at the front there could have been a bit smoother. I found it quite buffety, and also the looks of the bike are quite unusual. So hopefully, on top of all the new tech and probably the automated manual transmission, you know, they address some of the fundamentals like making it look a bit nicer and also sticking it in the wind tunnel. Right, that's the big bikes taken care of, but what about that 125 and 390 announcement that they also included? Now, there are no dates for these ones either, but they do say, I think, that they will be there at EICMA. And first up, they said there'll be both a 390 and 125 version of a new SMC-R. So SMC is their name for supermoto style road bikes, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with this one. The smaller, lighter engines are really going to suit this sort of agile and nimble bike really quite nicely, but I think I've saved the most anticipated bike for last, and that's because the 390 Adventure, while it is a fairly popular bike, isn't quite set up for like aggressive off-road riding. And so if you want to take that side of adventure riding a bit more seriously, it's maybe not quite up to spec. This one has been rumoured for some time though. This is the Enduro R version of both the 125 and 390, and we've seen some spy shots of it, and it really does look pretty good. It's basically like if you took a 390 Adventure, slimmed it down, jacked it up, gave it big wheels, and also a bit of a rally-inspired packaging, which seems to be running through the whole lineup now. Let's hope they keep the price for this one in check, and I think it really could be a winner. But as always, I'd love to know which bike you're looking forward to the most, so do let me know down in the comments below. I'll also put my 990 Duke review on the screen now in case you haven't seen it already. A fantastic bike, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that R model as well now. Like I say, do hit subscribe if you want to see all of the latest motorcycle news and announcements right here on MOTOBOB. And massive thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.